extracurricular here. Mitchell and Natasha Cloud, they got heated.
This wasn't just any regular season game. It was a showdown between Caitlin Clark and her rival, Diana Taurasi. Taurasi, the legend who took Caitlin's spot on the Olympic team, was about to face a determined Clark who had something to prove, that gold should have been hers. The game started with Caitlin standing confidently at the logo, waiting for her teammates to set up a play. But before they could, she decided to pull up for a deep three. It didn't go in, but it sent a message loud and clear. Caitlin Clark wasn't afraid to take risks. On the next possession, Caitlin put her court vision on full display. She faked out Natasha Cloud, executing a smooth give and go with Aaliyah Boston. With Brittany Griner now forced to guard her, Caitlin created a mismatch, leaving the bigger Boston on the smaller Cloud. It was an easy assist for Clark, and an even easier layup for Boston. Then, Caitlin showed just how prepared she was for this game. She called for a pick at the three-point line, but instead of driving, she pulled up and drained an easy swish.
The screen launches and drops a triple.
With each play, Caitlin's confidence grew. Bringing the ball up the court again, she went into an isolation play against Olympic guard Alicia Cooper. She completely cooked her defender, finishing with a tough and one layup.
Mentally staying in it as Clark gets that big and one coming off that huge three a few moments ago.
And of course, she knocked down the free throw. The Fever weren't done yet. Caitlin, sensing the defense closing in, pulled off another ISO play. But this time, she dished out a slick pass to Smith under the basket after drawing a double team in the paint.
Right now, Caitlin Clark, who finds Melissa Smith.
And her ability to just probe the defense, and Copper, who is an elite defender.
The next possession, Caitlin sprinted coast to coast in transition, finishing with another and one layup under the towering Brittany Griner.
And it's Clark on the other end at 22 with a spin and a lay-in.
With the free throw, the Fever extended their lead to 11 points, all thanks to Caitlin's relentless pace and playmaking. As the first half wound down, Caitlin decided to remind everyone why she's often compared to Steph Curry. With 20 seconds left, she launched a deep three from the wing, sending the Indiana crowd into a frenzy and giving the Fever a commanding 19-point lead.
Indiana with the fourth fastest pace of play, and that suits Caitlin Clark.
The second half started, and Caitlin wasted no time, positioning herself at the same spot and draining another three, her third of the night.
Really get out in transition, see if you can get some early quick buckets.
Oh, Clark hits her third three.
Even in transition, when faced with a 3-on-1, Caitlin made the smart play, threading a perfect pass to Lexi Hull, though Hull unfortunately missed the open layup. But Caitlin wasn't deterred. She followed it up with another perfect pass in transition, slicing through the defense to find Smith under the basket for an easy assist.
Indiana comes up with a turnover. Here is Clark. This time it's Smith with a foul and an and one.
Then she did it again, this time finding Kelsey Mitchell for a wide-open layup.
Here's Mitchell, behind the defense. And Caitlin Clark can do no wrong.
As the first half closed, Caitlin nearly notched her fourth half-court assist, but Hull couldn't beat the buzzer.
Get it up in time. Samuelson shot too strong.
The second half began with Caitlin driving to the basket, drawing a foul.
Run. Clark trying to put a stop to it. Hangs and draws the foul. That bucket, by the way, by Griner.
And knocking down both free throws. This seemed to ignite some tension among Phoenix's Olympic stars, leading to a bit of a tussle on the court.
A little extracurricular here. Mitchell and Natasha Cloud, they got heated.
But Caitlin stayed cool. As the third quarter came to a close, she hit a step-back jumper, getting lucky with the shooter's touch.
Back on a deep two. Oh, gets the shooter's touch.
With 5 seconds left, she handed off to Hull for a buzzer-beater three, capping off a dominant quarter.
Samuelson, who buries a three. Samuelson beats the buzzer. And the Fever end the third with a flourish.
In the fourth, Caitlin showed she's not just a passer, but a deadly shooter too. She called for a pick from Aaliyah Boston, used it to get wide open, and drained another 3.
Off the screen, finds some space, and delivers. It's a triple for Caitlin Clark.
It's like clockwork. Hey, set a screen, let her go.
On the next play, she tried to replicate the same move, but this time, the ball took a detour off the top of the backboard before going in. Unfortunately, the refs called it out of bounds. The Mercury were getting desperate. Taurasi, frustrated, even pulled on Caitlin's arm when she blew by her. But Caitlin didn't care. She went right back to the pick and roll with Boston, waiting for the perfect moment to send a pass under the rim for an easy basket.
Clark seeing 2, bounces, oh beautiful, it's Boston with the finish, and the vision from Clark.
When the Mercury doubled her too early on the next play, Caitlin found Mitchell wide open in the corner for another easy assist.
Mitchell, corner 3, connects.
Mitchell was on fire, and Caitlin kept feeding her. On the next play, she sent a pass to Mitchell on the wing, and she drained another deep 3.
Mitchell, another 3, Mitchell is locked in.
Great 1-2 punch there.
Caitlin was in full control, ignoring a pick on the next play and driving straight to the basket for a quick layup.
He gets the step on Cunningham, Clark gets to the rim.
Extending the Fever's lead to 12 points. To seal the deal, Caitlin made one last cut pass to Mitchell, who scored again, solidifying the Fever's victory.
Cutting, it's Mitchell with the finish.
And I knew why Kelsey Mitchell took that first shot. She wanted to give Clark that.
Caitlin Clark finished the game with 29 points, 5 rebounds, and 10 assists. A performance that left no doubt about who deserves to be on that Olympic team.
In the corner, hole, you bet.
If you end up enjoying this video, why not subscribe? It's free, and you can always change your mind. Most players like to ease into a game with a few set plays, but Caitlin Clark isn't most players. Brimming with confidence, she started the game with some deep shots.
Here's Clark with some space at the logo, will fire. In and out on a deep 3, and Caitlin Clark.
And right after, in transition, she sprinted full court and threaded the ball between 2 defenders for what should have been an easy layup for Kelsey Mitchell. But as we've seen in previous games, even wide open looks aren't always a sure thing.
And Mitchell can't lay it in. Mitchell corrals it, veers into space.
So, on the next play, Caitlin decided to take matters into her own hands. No pick, no hesitation, just a quick step to blow by her defender and finish with a contested layup against the elite shot blocker.
And it finishes.
That's one of the things that Caitlin Clark has done really well throughout the course of those last 10 games is going to her right.
Fast pace and transitions were the name of the game if Indiana wanted to maximize their strengths. Caitlin knew this and showcased it by launching an almost full court pass to Lexi Hull, who slipped behind the defense for an easy bucket.
Pass, hit stride, and Hull lays it in. First lead of the quarter for Indiana, and Seattle will take a timeout.
And let me tell you, that wasn't going to be the last dime from Caitlin Clark. Another turnover from Seattle, and Caitlin put the burners on again. This time, she found herself in a 2-on-3 situation, dishing it to Mitchell, who hesitated and got called for a travel.
Clark bounces Mitchell. They don't call it up and down, now they do.
I thought she was in the air when she caught it. She just...
The connection between Mitchell and Clark started off slow, but the chemistry with Lexi Hull, on fire. Caitlin, once again, focused on the speed in transition, lost her defender with a dribble, and found Hull streaking to the basket for another easy layup.
Finds Hull, lays it in.
That assist put Caitlin just 2 away from tying the all-time rookie assist record set back in 1998. But with Ogumike protecting the paint, breaking this record wasn't going to be easy.
Dundas gets denied. What a rejection. Ezzy Magbagor again.
Even when Caitlin drove to the rim, getting a clean layup was a challenge. She managed to draw a foul.
Gets fouled. Caitlin Clark will go to the line to shoot 2.
But in transition, where her speed and the scattered defense were key, Caitlin had Seattle's shot-blocking kryptonite figured out.
Clark looking to push for Indiana. Here's Clark speeding all the way in to the cup.
After 4 missed attempts from deep, Caitlin began finding her groove, sinking a mid-range jumper after shaking her defender.
Trying to shake Wickham, step back is good. Hit the mid-range.
With her confidence growing, she called for an ISO, blew past her opponent, and, seeing Agwumaike camped in the paint, dished a perfect pass around the defense to the corner. Hull was ready, sending one quick pass for a wide-open 3.
On the wing, connects.
The first half ended with Indiana clinging to a 1-point lead. But a lead is a lead. The third quarter kicked off with more of what had been working. Transition basketball, but even faster. Caitlin grabbed a rebound and instantly sent a half-court pass to a streaking Kelsey Mitchell.
Clark the fling ahead. Oh, what a dime. And Mitchell lays it in. And Caitlin Clark officially has the most assists ever for a rookie.
That assist etched Caitlin Clark's name into the history books as the all-time rookie assist leader, with 12 games still to go. Insane. And the momentum didn't stop there. A minute later, they left her wide open. Her defender wasn't even close. Caitlin made them pay, finally sinking her first 3 after missing 6 straight, pushing Indiana's lead to 6.
Rebound, Clark a good look. She got it.
On the other end, Seattle's guard forced a play and drew a foul for free throws. Frustrated by the call, Caitlin let out some of that frustration on the padding, but the refs weren't having it. They hit her with a tech, leaving her stunned. Still frustrated, Caitlin channeled that energy the only way she knows how, by calling a pick with Aaliyah Boston. The switch created a mismatch, and Caitlin waited until Boston was near the rim before threading an impossible pass over the defense for the easy bucket.
That is Clark's 5th technical this season. Oh, what a dime! Clark to Boston!
We saw another one of those speedy transition plays soon after. Caitlin noticed all 3 defenders were drawn to one side, so she waited for the overlap from Samuelson on the other. But Samuelson didn't notice Agwumaike had switched over, ending her dream with a block.
Samuelson denied. What a rejection from McMagor.
But Caitlin wasn't just there to dish out assists. She stole the ball at half court from Diggins Smith and immediately pulled up for a 3, breaking the 50-50 tie.
It's good.
Seattle had their smart, albeit dirty, ways of slowing down Caitlin in transition, but she always had something up her sleeve, whether it was on offense or defense.
Wickham denied by Clark.
Caitlin showed that she's built differently. She ended the third quarter by both blocking and getting blocked.
Here's Clark trying to get around McMagor, and McMagor with the denial.
Proving there was still some balance and keeping the game close. The fourth quarter was a showcase of her teammates stepping up when it mattered most. Caitlin started by throwing her defender off with a quick first step, going under the taller defender in the paint for a layup.
Quick first step, Clark cutting to the hoop, able to lay it in.
On the next play, they figured her out and started double teaming, but somehow she found a wide open Lexi Hull.
Brings it over to Hull, wide open 3. She got it.
Caitlin Clark on that one manipulated the defense with her eyes.
Hull promised to be clutch, hitting another 3 right after, widening the lead.
On cue.
Caitlin then bulldozed through the smaller Diggins Smith,
In and banking it home.
but lost focus just enough to get caught for a travel.
And a travel.
She picked it right back up though, with a classic pick and pop with Aaliyah Boston.
Boston hitting.
With 4 minutes left, the Fever were ready to seal the deal. First, a corner 3 from Caitlin's splash buddy, Lexi Hull.
You bet.
Not long after, Caitlin joined the party, hitting a deep 3 after a pick from Aaliyah Boston.
She got it. Third 3 for Caitlin Clark, who now has 23 points, 15 of them in the second half.
With 3 minutes left, Seattle had no response, but the Fever kept their foot on the gas. Caitlin waited for the perfect moment to get Kelsey Mitchell open and sent a dime for yet another 3. Her final assist of the night came from another 3, ending her night with 9 assists and putting the Fever one step closer to the playoffs.
Isolation here for Mitchell. Clark, another one. What is happening right now?
On June 8th, Caitlin Clark added another chapter to her Rookie of the Year campaign with a career-high performance against the Washington Mystics. But as much as she dazzled, this game got a lot closer than anyone expected.
Charity strike into Dolson. Samuelson the 3. That falls. 7.5 to play. 84.
Caitlin started the game with her usual aggressiveness, blowing past her defender with a quick step, only to be met by help defense in the paint. Trusting her vision, she dished it off to a teammate for what seemed like an easy bucket, but things didn't go as planned. Seconds later, Caitlin took matters into her own hands. No screen, no hesitation, just pure skill. She put her defender in a blender with some quick dribbles and finished with a smooth layup around the bigger defender. It was the start of something special.
Clark trying to get by. The Mystics defense gets right to the cup and lays it up and in.
With her first points on the board, Caitlin began to take control. She faked a shot at the 3-point line, handing it off to Aaliyah Boston. The fake pulled 2 defenders onto her, leaving Boston wide open in the paint. One quick pass and a spin move later, Boston had an easy bucket.
Shot at the cup. Boston gets the slip and around Edwards, lays that up.
Then came transition time. One glance was all Caitlin needed to spot Kelsey Mitchell on the fast break. Too quick for anyone else to catch. A half-court dime from Caitlin turned into an easy layup for Mitchell.
Quickly up the floor is Mitchell. Beautiful find from Clark as Mitchell lays it up.
But not everything was smooth sailing. Julie Van Loo used some sneaky footwork to poke the ball away from Caitlin, turning it into a turnover. Van Loo then punished the Fever with an instant pull-up 3, keeping the game close.
Van Loo comes up with the steal. She'll call her own number and splash that home. Ties it at 13.
On the next possession, the pressure was back on Caitlin. A defender's swipe nearly caused another turnover, but Caitlin recovered quickly. With 2 defenders closing in, she pulled off a step-back 3 from the logo, draining it and leaving the crowd buzzing.
Picked up now by Dee Richards as she's into the ball game. Richards on the floor. Clark, the step-back 3 just below the logo, drills it.
Still in the first quarter, Caitlin got the ball after a Mystics turnover and turned on the Jets. With a 2-on-1 situation, she patiently waited for the defender to commit before dishing it off to Nalissa Smith for an easy layup.
Gets it to her on the move. Beautiful 2-person game.
And it wasn't just on offense where Caitlin was making an impact. She showed her defensive chops by getting a steal and immediately pushing the ball in transition, trusting her teammates to finish the play.
She's made in tonight's game. Wheeler, little in-out dribble. Gets that lay-in to go.
Seeing she could rely on her squad, Caitlin decided to flex her playmaking skills. She threaded the ball between 2 defenders, setting up Smith for a wide-open 3 on the wing.
Still with it. The kick, Smith will call her number and knock it down. Stretching the floor is Nalissa Smith.
Next play, Caitlin's defense shined again with another steal. She put the burners on in transition, but the defense caught up, forcing her to slow down. She reset the play, ignored the defense, and drove into the paint. Spying Aaliyah Boston wide open under the rim, she went for the easy dime, only to have it swiped away at the last moment. But Caitlin wasn't one to shy away. Not long after, she got free with some slick, off-the-ball movement, using a screen to get open for a moving, leaning 3-pointer. Nothing but net.
Pulls off that screen, knocks it down. Even with her body fading, she can still control that shot.
Well, she comes off in a snaking manner on that weak side.
With her confidence sky high, Caitlin found herself in another transition play. This time, she pulled up from the logo without hesitation, but it didn't connect. The game was tight at 40-40, with 28 seconds left in the second quarter. Caitlin forced her way to the basket, drawing a foul and sinking both free throws to give the Fever a slim lead heading into the half. The second half started with a bang, but it wasn't Caitlin. Mitchell got open on the wing, and Caitlin delivered an easy dime, starting the half with a 3-pointer.
He's going for the Mystics on the offensive end, now into double figures with 12.
With LSU's coach in the building, Caitlin had to show she wasn't just reliant on others. She brought the ball up in transition, found a mismatch, and stepped back from deep on the wing, hitting nothing but net.
Clark, pull up three. That one tickles the climb.
2 minutes later, Caitlin's off-the-ball movement left her wide open at the same spot. No defender in sight. She pulled up for a back-to-back three, and it was good again.
He's showing up, showing out.
Clark.
With the third quarter winding down, a minute left on the clock, Caitlin took control. She went coast to coast, putting her defender on skates with a behind-the-back move, pulling up just before the three-point line and draining her third three in a row.
Down in that paint. So the best thing you can do as a defender is not give it to her.
Clark.
Stay loose.
Back-to-back triples for Caitlin Clark.
10 seconds later, Caitlin was at it again. With 23 seconds left, she got free off the ball, found herself wide open at the top of the key, and pulled up for a fourth three-pointer. It was another swish, until the refs called an illegal screen, spoiling the hot streak. Even with this insane effort, the Fever only had a 2-point lead. Going into the fourth, the Mystics tightened up their defense on Caitlin, but she trusted her teammates, setting up Samuelson for a three-pointer.
Samuelson at the buzzer.
Oh my.
But Caitlin wasn't done. Off an inbound pass, she got free with no screen, pulled up with a step-back jumper from the wing, and continued her hot streak.
Wasn't going to be able to see Katie Lou after last night's game, so today, really the first time they're seeing her.
Clark.
The Caitlin special kept rolling. Another off-the-ball movement got her open at her favorite spot, and without hesitation, she pulled up for her fifth three-pointer in a row.
Isolation here for Mitchell.
Clark, another one.
She was now at 7 threes and 25 points in total, but the Mystics weren't backing down, keeping the game within 2 points. The Fever needed to hold on to their lead, and Caitlin wasn't shying away from the moment. She attacked the basket, drawing contact and earning 2 clutch free throws.
Right there, a little jersey pull. They do. Well, that's what happened on the baseline and turn her back out to the corner.
The Mystics responded quickly in transition, cutting the lead back to 2.
And the foul. They're going to wave it off, actually, initially.
But it wasn't enough. Caitlin capped off the night with a 30-point bomb.
Time as the Fever will get their third win on the season.
August 25th was a game circled on the calendar. The Fever took on the Minnesota Lynx, coached by Cheryl Reeve, the very coach who left Caitlin Clark off the Olympic roster. This was one of the toughest games of the season, but Caitlin still showed why she's the biggest star in the league, even in the face of adversity.
Great opportunity and a no contact play. Clark hangs and gets the and one. And listen to the fans.
Caitlin started the game the way she always does, fearless. She opened with a logo three that didn't connect, but that didn't slow her down. On the next play, she brought the ball up the court, accelerated, then stopped on a dime, leaving her defender touching earth. With the paint packed, she kicked it out to Kelsey Mitchell on the wing, but the shot didn't fall.
Clark almost double dribble.
Transition was the name of the game, and Caitlin knew it. She pushed the pace, moved to the left side, and waited for Mitchell to cut, setting her up with an easy dime.
Quiet last night. 2 points for Carlton last night, and then Mitchell.
And that was just the beginning. In another fast break, Caitlin saw Aaliyah Boston inside and fed her in the paint, where Boston powered through for the bucket.
Double team comes against Boston, and she finds her way through it.
But even as Caitlin kept feeding her teammates, the shots weren't falling like they should.
Wow, that was ahead to Samuelson, a nice lead.
So, she took matters into her own hands. Coming off a handoff, she used a quick step to shake her defender and drove to the basket, drawing a foul with the contact.
Making an impact early as she gets into the game. Aggressive defense, hitting her shots.
Clark into the defense. That is.
She calmly drained both free throws. On the next play, she ignored the screen, attacked her smaller defender, and stepped back for a mid-range jumper.
Clark will step back. And after hitting 2 free throws, Clark hits her next basket over Heidemann.
Caitlin kept putting her defenders on skates, but not every shot was a hit.
Free for the 3.
Still, her mere presence was enough for Coach Reeve to adjust, doubling her in the second quarter. But Caitlin wasn't fazed. Bringing the ball up the court, she used the screen, not once, but twice, to force a switch and find an open teammate for an easy bucket.
Much to me in my basketball journey, and just to watch this.
Moments later, she set up another play, using a screen to get the ball to Kelsey Mitchell, who drained a three.
He matters too. That's right. And
Fever were down by 10, but Caitlin wasn't backing down. She used off-the-ball movement to fake a handoff, got herself wide open on the wing, and drained a three.
Games. Clark.
Next play, no screen needed. Caitlin went one-on-one, blew by her defender, and finished with a contested layup.
Clark. Weaving her way through. It's 9 for 9 now for the Fever in this quarter.
If it's working, why change it? After another screen from Boston, Caitlin cut to the basket, finished through contact, and completed the and one.
Break opportunity and a no contact play. Clark hangs and gets the and one.
But Minnesota wasn't going to let her keep doing it. On the next play, Caitlin hit a pump fake that sent her defender flying, but she couldn't finish at the rim.
For Clark. A block against Caitlin. And McBride goes
frustrated with herself on that one because she had a great look. That's one of my favorite things.
On the other end, she tried to make her mark on defense, but ended up committing a foul. With the first half winding down, the Fever needed a spark, and Caitlin delivered.
The three-pointer is good.
She makes it look so easy when she does it that way.
With the score tight and just a 1-point difference, Caitlin opened the second half, looking to extend the lead. She went to her favorite spot for three, but the defense was all over her.
Overall, 26 boards in this game.
And the refs weren't giving her any calls. Time to pass the rock. She attacked the paint, drew a double team, and kicked it out to Mitchell at the top of the key for a three.
Hands it off to Mitchell, Kelsey Mitchell.
As Minnesota pulled ahead by 12, Caitlin knew it was time to step up. Using a screen from Boston, she pulled up from deep and nailed it.
Offensive possessions for Indiana.
The Fever then put her in an ISO play, where she cooked her defender, stepping back for another three.
Boards getting some second chance opportunities.
Clark gets herself free and hits a three-pointer, creating that shot.
But Coach Reeve had seen enough. The Lynx started doubling Caitlin every time she touched the ball, forcing her out of her rhythm and into some clumsy mistakes.
And the trailer is Boston. Clark will take another look with 13 on the shot clock. And a travel. Boy, that was strange. Caitlin.
Even when they forced her out of her comfort zone, Caitlin found ways to make plays. She drove into the paint and forced some points.
Clark loses Heidemann and rolls it in.
The Lynx tried to slow down her pace in transition, but when they slipped up, Caitlin sent a full court pass for a quick bucket.
Made. Shot from deep tonight. Indiana.
In another transition play, she pushed the ball up in a 3-on-2, looking for Mitchell. But the defense kicked the ball away, spoiling the play. Still, Caitlin wasn't done. On the next possession, a smart cut by Lexi Hull gave Caitlin another easy dime, bringing the Fever within 3 points with 6 minutes left.
Speaker on her backpack. And Lexi be like,
but relying on her teammates too much in the final minutes didn't yield the results they needed. Even when Caitlin tried to rally late, it wasn't enough.
burning up the court. Gets the bucket and one.
Minnesota held on for the win, but Caitlin still proved why she's one of the best in the league.
The Sky shooting 38%. Caitlin Clark, another three-pointer. 6 threes on the night.
A career high in points and 12 dishes. While her rival hid in the shadows, she did not just break rookie records, but shattered all times. But the Sky channeled their inner Draymond Green to stop her.
For 29 points, gets tripped up.
And right from the start, 22 came out swinging, immediately recognizing the missing defender and isolated Aaliyah Smith on an island.
To be more aggressive offensively.
With the Chicago Sky keeping up, Caitlin knew she had to put some more fear in their hearts.
She has stepped up her game in that opportunity. Caitlin Clark for three, rattles it around for her first deep shot.
But Angel Reese had other plans, determined to keep the 8-12 lead strong.
will be really important for both of these teams. Allen once again goes back to back.
Her teammate Allen was on fire and had no intention of letting that flame burn out.
Allen baseline look. The last 3 buckets from Lindsay Allen.
Even with Caitlin's wizardry, placing Aaliyah Boston in perfect positions to disrupt the streak didn't change the Sky's plans.
Taking all night.
Caitlin Clark, a dribbling exhibition, finds Boston, double team, all kinds of contact.
And Angel Reese made sure by solidifying that lead into double digits.
Way through, what a pass and a finish. Nice catch there from Angel Reese.
The Fever needed a spark, someone to pull them out of the gutter, and who else but 22.
WNBA player that has recorded consecutive 20-plus point rebounds.
But the Sky answered quick, giving the Fever no time to think.
Was you? What does it mean to have those comparisons?
With the score at 24-11 in favor of the Sky, Caitlin knew the Fever had to respond, and fast.
Bro, I love the way Caitlin Clark is playing.
To counter Angel Reese, the Fever made a high IQ move by subbing in their defensive behemoth, Timmy Fagbenle. The shift was immediate.
They're looking for Reese. Fagbenle tips it away and off and running. Caitlin Clark wins the pass, thread the needle. My goodness, what a play!
In this shift, they closed the lead down to 26-23, fighting their way back. With the first quarter clock winding down, they found themselves with a golden opportunity to tie. However, it became clear that Fagbenle was stretching beyond the imagination.
Caitlin Clark against Dana Evans, 3 on the quarter clock. Fagbenle misses everything.
And this would not be the last time. Despite her defensive dominance, her offensive liabilities would surface.
Find about when she would return. Turnover on the first possession, and the Fever ended the first quarter on a 12-2 run and tried to build.
Luckily for the Fever, Angel Reese was still missing layups, giving Indiana's golden child all the opening needed to start cooking.
On this possession, Loco shot! Loco make for Clark!
Even when Angel Reese put more of her moves on display, Fever's super sub proved to be her kryptonite.
This turn, spinning off her left shoulder and walked with it.
This gave CC the time and space to give some of her sharpshooting lessons on the other end.
The end of the first quarter, Clark again, heating up.
Heating up indeed, showing that 2020 vision.
Fagbenle with a huge block. An absolute wall at the rim leads to that, Eric.
And just like that, it was a close game again. With Caitlin Clark still on fire, the vision didn't end, dishing out assists to her Robin.
She's having the best three-point shooting season of her career, but she can also bang in the paint.
CC ignited a spark, giving Kelsey Mitchell more confidence to let it fly.
5 of 10 right now from behind the arc.
Speaking of, a long shot.
Even with the hot streak, Robin will never be Batman.
Winding down, nearly a shot clock violation for the Sky. Caitlin Clark leaks out, can't get to it.
The Fever pushed their lead up to double digits, 43-33, with Caitlin Clark firmly at the reins. But the Sky were far from backing down.
Stays with it, that's that strength that you admire so much, and finds Panama.
However, 22 gave it no mind, driving without even looking if it went in, silencing Chicago's crowd.
To find a way to get Rachel Banham going, that's one way.
Count the packets! Caitlin Clark has an and one.
And scoring aside, collecting dimes had become her new hobby, just like they were infinity stones.
He's got 14 in the game. Clark.
Hey guys, now right here I was just honestly confused on if I had to take the ball back or I could just lay it up. I had got my head a little bit too much. It was really extremely hot this day, by the way, everybody. Almost 100 degrees again.
Tahal.
And unfortunately, it was just a hobby.
Clark tried that difficult pass.
With the second quarter coming to an end, Angel Reese decided to step out of the shadows with a midi that would make any coach cringe.
Reese, a long two, trails it.
But it was Caitlin Clark who would have the last laugh.
Shuffle pass to Allen, who looks for Reese again, but Wheeler's in the way, and the Fever leak out Caitlin Clark. A layup drill for her.
Ending the quarter with the Fever leading 47-43. The third quarter, however, started just how the second had finished, with the Splash Girls taking over.
Kelsey Mitchell. 8 assists, 15 points in the first half. Looking to add to her tally. Ooh.
The Sky threw everything they had to stop the rainstorm, but their efforts only seemed to make it worse.
That ball screen to create a shot for herself.
Clark with the step back and gets fouled. 3.
Caitlin Clark, cool under pressure, stepped up to the free throw line and sank every single shot, extending the Fever's lead to 54-46. Still in the third quarter, with plenty of time left on the clock, the game remained wide open. Anything could happen, and anything did happen.
Onyenwere drills a three-pointer.
But Caitlin Clark wasn't backing down either. She knew this was a crucial moment, and instead of trying to do it all herself, she trusted in her teammates to finish the job.
Personals, Diamond DeShields has checked in, trying to defend Caitlin Clark. Smith, 1-foot runner.
And with the Sky finishing wide open layups like this, there was nothing left for Caitlin Clark to fear.
Worthwhile to see the reactions of these Fever players getting to meet those two stars.
Except for one player who refused to let the game slip away, the Sky's Black Air Force Warrior.
Inside 2 minutes left in the third, Caitlin Clark has checked back in.
With the threat of injury looming, CC made a strategic decision. Instead of putting herself directly on the front line, she chose to move the pieces on the chessboard. Unfortunately, not every piece was in place.
Oh, Fagbenle.
But the ones that were made her look like a grand master.
Be a guard, but so effective in the paint. And Boston tonight, they've had to work to get to the 9. 38%, but
It was obvious that Temi Fagbenle was unstoppable on defense. Her presence in the paint, acting as a wall against the Sky's offensive efforts. However, as the game wore on, it became increasingly clear that Fagbenle was turning out to be a bit of a one-trick pony.
Back to Fagbenle. It's her. Fagbenle, no. Boston, another rebound. Over to Teme, blocked by Cardoso.
Luckily for the Fever, their lead was pretty much secured at 87-71 in the fourth quarter, and most of the offense didn't need help.
Hole in the corner. She's got the last 6 for the Fever.
With a lead like that, Caitlin could have easily sat this one out at this point, but she wasn't about to take a back seat. She was hungry for more.
The Sky shooting 38%. Caitlin Clark, another three-pointer. 6 threes on the night.
With 6 threes on the night, Caitlin Clark was in the zone. The game had slowed down for her, and with the Fever comfortably ahead, she decided to have a little fun, channeling her inner globetrotter.
Eyes up, always looking at the clip behind the back pass. Turnover.
But with the Black Air Force Warrior back on the floor, that fun was immediately shut down.
Here's Clark. For 29 points, gets tripped up.
This would have been enough for Caitlin Clark on the night. 31 points and 12 assists. It marked her 5th game this season with at least 20 points and 10 assists, setting a new record for the most in a single season. Historic. With the game in hand and the spotlight on her, a new conversation has begun. Caitlin Clark for MVP.
Coach sides in this team.
Clark comes back and answers.
I saw the adjustment just now.
And even her second in command, Kelsey Mitchell, was getting in on the action.
I was at a basketball camp every day with him. Mitchell outside, and she's got another 3. Her second of the ball game to move to 18.
But with Arike Ogunbowale in the building, it wasn't going to come easy.
That's exactly what she did. They just can't let her go off. Arike, oh my! Another 3, her 5th of the ball game.
And right from the start, Indiana's second young gun came out swinging.
In the loss, now she goes in the paint, rolls it over the front of the rim.
But Ogunbowale didn't hesitate either, showing off the range.
Arike buries the 3.
Struck by Arike Ogunbowale's accuracy, Caitlin tried to match it, but early on, the gun was jammed. However, this didn't stop 22 from making plays, and Kelsey Mitchell was thinking the same way.
Clark comes down. There's one of those long passes. Oh, little French pastry from Kelsey Mitchell.
That's going to be all over the highlights around the world.
With the spotlight on Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell found herself in the perfect position to capitalize.
Scoring 18-5, and she's got 4 already.
And when Caitlin Clark did have the ball, the game seemed to slow down, as if she was in complete control of time itself. She picked out her teammates effortlessly, threading passes through the defense with precision.
Been, shall we say, spectacular this year, Melissa Smith.
But Arika was on a warpath, determined to keep the lead for the Dallas Wings.
In the last 3 games, running after a rebound. And Arika knocks down the 3.
Unfortunately for the Fever, their shots just didn't connect, leaving the Wings in the lead, 12-10. And with Arike still on fire, that lead would only widen.
And their locker rooms, and that's why they're successful. Oh yeah, she's successful too.
She showed she was not only a scorer, but could also dish the ball around.
On the drive, no. Tip, nice job, Maddie Segrist.
The Fever were clumsy at times, struggling to find their rhythm and turning the ball over. But with Kelsey Mitchell on the floor, there was always a sense of hope. But most importantly, keeping the score close.
Mitchell buries the 3. That was pretty.
Now what a shot.
But there was always an answer. Arike kept going back to back.
Olympic break, the best in the league.
And then Dallas answers again.
With 22 on the floor, this was a challenge she couldn't refuse, matching 3 for 3.
Every field goal made has been 3, and Clark gets her first field goal of the afternoon.
With 2 minutes left in the first quarter, Caitlin Clark took charge and got the Fever back in the lead, 19-18.
A lot about the coaching and how they were able to keep people together.
However, Arike was not done yet either, determined and ready to make history.
That's exactly what she did. They just can't let her go off. Arike, oh my! Another 3, her 5th of the ball game.
Arike made a statement in the first quarter by draining 5 threes. Her scorching performance sent a clear message to the Fever. They had some serious work on their hands. But in the second quarter, it was just more of the same, an intense back and forth battle. Mitchell started to cook. However, Arike responded right back.
He definitely is. We did the WBL together.
With the score at 26-29 and the Fever trailing, Caitlin knew it was time to tap into some of her magic.
Clark, 2 of 6 shooting. She's got 5 points. Inside, Smith launches.
The score was still tight at 37-37, and this was just what the Fever needed.
These are dominating in free throws.
Clark knocks down her second 3 of the ball game.
Nalissa Smith was feeling the magic too, getting busy under the rim.
Clark, no place to go. Nice defense, Sheldon. Smith, nice move.
And she was quick to return the favor, feeling the chemistry with CC.
Caitlin on one side, she wants it, she got it, she lays it.
And did I mention?
However, late in the second quarter, Arike decided to turn up again, reigniting her scoring spree and keeping the Wings flying high.
Great in your own right back in the day, so anytime you can say that about Arike, I'm sure she would appreciate.
With just a few seconds left in the second quarter and momentum firmly on her side, Arike seized the moment and forced the lead for the Wings.
Wings throw it up ahead to Arike, and Arike got it!
The All-Star MVP seemed destined to make something groundbreaking, carrying the Dallas Wings on her back throughout the first half. But as the second half began, her teammates stepped up and cut her some slack.
Satu with 3 on the shot clock, nothing but the bottom of the net.
But Kelsey Mitchell wasn't fazed by the Wings. She responded by going back-to-back.
In the NBA with Hubie, I was at a basketball camp every day with him. Mitchell outside, and she's got another 3.
On the other end, Setu Sabali was thinking the same way.
Oh my goodness!
The Olympian for Germany.
Dallas regained the lead, and Arike, sensing the flow state, was ready to break the record for 3-pointers.
3-point attempts.
How about Arike?
With the score at 58-52 and the Fever letting the game slip away, 22 knew it was time to inject some life back into her team.
Her coach sides in this team.
Clark comes back at him.
But not long after her surge, Caitlin Clark was tested, and this time she stumbled.
Needed that. And here comes J.C. Sheldon. Clark trailing. That's going to be a hard foul. Are they going to look at it?
The Fever were on their last leg, trailing 62-52, the biggest lead of the game for the Wings. Dallas, sensing victory within reach, wasn't holding back.
Up ahead, flash. Off face to Sato and takes it herself.
What a move by Natasha Howard.
And Caitlin Clark was in the midst of a real struggle.
Is at the appropriate time.
Howard with a rejection.
With the defense focusing heavily on Caitlin, doubling her and cutting off her driving lanes, it inadvertently left her teammate Kelsey Mitchell with free rein.
Up ahead, Clark, beautiful pass to Mitchell. You talked about it at the open.
But with Arike still not losing that heat, every move made was quickly answered.
With Hall, with Caitlin.
And Arike got a new career high and three-pointers made.
Her 8th three-pointer of the game was nothing short of cinematic. It felt like watching a highlight reel in real time, and as if scripted, Mitchell answered right
30
back.
in the ball game, her 6th 30-point effort today. And then Mitchell fouled by Arike. They're going to replay it. Arike cannot believe it.
With Arike finally taking a rest, the Fever knew they had a golden opportunity to chip away at the deficit before the 4th quarter. Sensing the moment, it was Caitlin Clark who stepped up to lead the charge.
Oh, great play, and it ends up in Caitlin Clark getting her 19th point.
But despite Caitlin Clark's valiant efforts,
Is the president of the NBA players.
it wasn't enough to completely overcome the Wings' lead. The 3rd quarter ended with the Wings still ahead, 74-70. So in the 4th quarter, with the extra defense on her, CC's teammates needed to step up if the Fever were going to overcome the Wings.
Boston season opening. Satu closes. Count the basket and a foul.
Luckily, they understood the assignment.
20-point game in 7 games and from way downtown.
But the Wings were quick to answer, leaving the Fever in need for something special.
You're not seeing them.
Clark from way downtown parries it.
It's an end.
3 players in double figures. Clark again with another 3.
Caitlin Clark delivered just what the Fever needed, a clutch double that finally put them back in the lead. And to keep the lead, her partner Kelsey Mitchell showed up in the big moment.
Yep. Mitchell over Sheldon, buries the 3.
It was a neck-and-neck race to the finish line, as Arike showed no signs of slowing down.
Weird, but nobody really talked that much about her.
And the 3 goes down. Arike, her 9th 3-pointer. She's got 30.
At this point, it was all about consistency, and Kelsey Mitchell did not disappoint.
There it is, and she buries the 3.
And unfortunately for Arike Ogunbowale, you can't do it all yourself.
Lead is a half a dozen. Arike tried to cut it in half. Home with a big rebound. And the foul by Tierra McCowan.
Caitlin Clark had an impressive night, posting 28 points and 12 assists.
9% here in the 1st quarter. Clark looking aggressive. Clark launches and hits a 3.
It wasn't just another game. Caitlin was making history again, becoming the franchise leader in 3-pointers and putting herself just 11 shy of breaking the WNBA record. But of course, when a player is shining that bright, the refs always seem to find a way to dim the lights.
Going against the Lynx. And Clark's got to be a little careful here. She has the 5 technicals, so she can afford 1 more, but technical number 7 results in a suspension.
Caitlin started the game the way she always does, with tenacity and 20/20 vision.
Clark looking ahead and finds Boston.
Yeah, that's got to be a part of the scouting report.
Dishing out dimes and pulling defenders like puppets. Lynx guard Williams wasn't having it though. She fired right back with a slick pass of her own.
Ranked offense in the WNBA, and they've been playing well.
Not long after, Caitlin slipped her defender and pulled up from deep range. It didn't drop, but Nalissa Smith was there, cleaning up the mess like the responsible teammate she is.
Smith with the offensive rebound, tried the reverse. Block, but a foul.
On the other end, Lynx star Collier tried to bully her way to the hoop, but Lexi Hull was not about to let that fly.
Good job right there.
Oh, Collier met at the rim.
But wait, what's that? Whistle. the refs calling a foul. You could almost see Caitlin rolling her eyes. No matter. The Fever were undeterred. Kelsey Mitchell stepped up, draining a deep three like she was lining up a freebie.
Kelsey Mitchell, catch and shoot, knocks down her first three.
Then she came right back, using a screen to slice through the defense like a hot knife through butter.
Here's Mitchell, head full of steam, little scoop shots.
That seemed to wake Caitlin up too. She grabbed the rebound, and with a half-court laser pass, she found running back Boston full speed for the finish.
And once again, it's Clark ahead to Boston.
But Collier, she wasn't going anywhere. Left open in the corner, she splashed a three, reminding everyone that this was going to be a dogfight all night long. Caitlin tried to answer right back.
They want to get up and down. Here's Clark, catch and shoot. There's a whistle.
But of course, the ref swooped in to ruin the fun. And then it happened again. Same situation, but this time, Caitlin bounced a pass through to Boston. The Lynx defender straight up kicked the ball like she was playing soccer, but the refs stayed silent. Lynx grabbed the steal and finished in transition, and you could feel the frustration building. But Caitlin wasn't about to let the refs or the defense get in her head. On the next possession, she put the defender on skates, stepped into the paint, and hit a tough midi as smooth as ever.
She's a good defender too, and Clark, that was not easy, but got it to go.
Yeah, looked a little shaky there, but being able to go and stay with it.
Then she really started cooking. With her defender still catching their breath, she drew a foul, went to the line, and knocked down 2 free throws.
Shot faking the three, driving on. Heidemann leads in, flips it up, and draws the foul.
You could feel the momentum shift. Next play, with the defender in her face, Caitlin pulled up without a care in the world. Bang.
Clark looking aggressive. Clark launches and hits a three.
I mean, it's just like clockwork, you know, at this point.
But let's be honest, even superheroes get tired. On the defensive end, Caitlin let McBride cruise by her for a wide open layup. Could she be running out of gas? Nope. Next play, she grabbed the rebound, hit the gas in transition like she was racing down the freeway, and found Kelsey Mitchell for an and one.
On one, she'll bounce for Mitchell. Mitchell got it to go, and a foul.
It's one way to do it. Get the crowd excited. Get in there, hit the three.
Caitlin was playing like she had eyes in the back of her head. Lexi Hull kept the momentum rolling, snagging a steal and going coast to coast. But she got swatted at the rim like she was playing against Big Bro. Still, the Fever ended the first quarter with an 8-point lead, 27-19. But if you thought that was the end of Collier, think again. She came out swinging in the second quarter, putting the Lynx on her back.
It's one of the top defenses in the league as Collier forces her way in.
She brought them right back into the game, slashing the Fever's lead to just 3.
Zandalicini, 2 for 2 from out there.
The Fever needed a spark, and of course, Caitlin delivered. She pulled up from deep and hit nothing but net.
Same energy, and especially that's one way to do it.
But Caitlin's matchup, Heidemann, wasn't backing down either. She was handing out assists like Halloween candy, and the Fever's defense was starting to look a little shaky. But even with 2 defenders crowding her, Caitlin wasn't phased. She split them like she was parting the Red Sea.
Second rounder who's really found a spot in the WNBA is Clark.
On defense, though, the Fever were struggling. Heidemann was picking them apart. And when Caitlin tried to find her teammates, it felt like they were playing hot potato. Caitlin took a breather, and the Fever were barely holding on.
Adjusted to the refs and how they call the game.
Hines Allen, aggressive take. Shot won't fall, but Hines Allen, she is a monster.
When she came back, she started things off with a driving floater that had the crowd on their feet again.
Hesitation, Clark the floater.
There it is.
But just as she was heating up, the refs called off another 3 because of a tussle under the rim.
Zandalicini is called for what is essentially a freedom of movement.
But Caitlin kept grinding. She hit Boston with a perfect dime under the basket, setting her up for a bully bucket.
Double team lofts it up for Boston.
Just another connection there. Looked like she was going to go ahead and hit.
Then Caitlin shut everyone up, including the refs, by finally nailing a 3 that counted.
Oh, look at Mitchell. Clark playing catch. Hey, Clark cashes in on a 3.
Yeah, that was cool. They had their little...
That left Coach Cheryl Reeve looking stunned on the sidelines. The second quarter was a fever dream for sure, but the Lynx stayed close, 50-45, heading into halftime. Caitlin was on fire at home, and you could tell she wasn't done yet.
Angling there into the corner. Good defense there by Carlton. Shot clock down to 5. Boston trying to create with the shot clock low, and Boston will.
The Lynx came out of halftime with a new game plan, fast pace, getting their shooters open.
A very new roster on the fly, and she is shining here in the second half of the season. Alana Smith.
Meanwhile, the Fever were getting clogged up in the paint. It felt like the Fever were stuck in a traffic jam.
In Chicago, he's taking that another step forward. Boston spinning into a double, just flips it up.
While the Lynx were cruising in the fast lane.
They're just getting a little bit more and more comfortable with each other.
Here's Smith rolling and finishing.
The Lynx went on a 14-0 run, swarming the paint like a hive of angry bees. It was rough for the Fever until Kelsey Mitchell finally stopped the bleeding.
Coming up and have that call.
Mitchell trying to get Indiana going, and she will.
But then, just as fast, Collier hit a 3 of her own.
Collier straight away, knocks down a...
Canceling out Kelsey's hard work. Caitlin knew it was her time to take over. She went coast to coast, got fouled, and went to the line, visibly frustrated with the refs. But the defense, non-existent.
Trying to hold down number 6, and they lose Alana Smith.
The Lynx were getting fast break points, like they were playing against a team of cones. With frustration building, Caitlin turned it into fuel.
Been the lead all season long. Fever had their way with it in the first quarter. Clark trying to get Indiana started, and maybe that'll help.
But once again, the refs chimed in.
Williams will switch on to Boston. And a foul off the ball. It's going against.
The Lynx capitalized, hitting another 3 and swinging the momentum right back their way.
Williams steps into a 3 and knocks it down. It is.
And just when Caitlin drove to the bucket, ready to spark another comeback, she got hacked at the rim, but no whistle. The Lynx took advantage of Caitlin still on the floor.
And connects.
Stretching their lead to double digits. This would be her breaking point, forcing her to sit the rest of the quarter out to cool down. By the end of the third, the Fever were down by 12, and it felt like everything was slipping away. The Lynx were in full control, and the Fever couldn't catch a break, either from the defense or the refs. Caitlin's fiery play was keeping them alive, but it was starting to feel like she was trying to climb a mountain with no help. The fourth quarter kicked off with a glimmer of hope for the Fever. Kelsey Mitchell got aggressive, breaking the scoreless streak.
Really good defensive sequence there for Minnesota. Mitchell on the drive, the floater, and she gets it to go.
And not long after, Caitlin caught the Lynx defense sleeping.
And the Lynx are able to punish her.
Oh, corner 3, knocks it down.
The Fever had clearly adjusted their game plan, spacing the floor and focusing on perimeter shots, with Caitlin setting up her teammates like she was conducting an orchestra.
Clark, Mitchell, wide open.
Momentum was building. Caitlin kept her head up, feeding Boston in the post. And finally, the refs called a foul in the Fever's favor. The Fever were chipping away, but the Lynx were relentless. Every time the Fever seemed to get close, the Lynx would come right back with an answer. But then came Caitlin's moment. After some great off-ball movement, she freed herself up for a moving 3, and bang.
Setting up Clark, ABC.
Beautiful basketball, great.
She wasn't done. On the next possession, she used a screen from Boston to perfection, waiting for the Lynx's blitz, then dishing it right back to Boston under the basket for a bully bucket.
Boston one bounce and lays it in.
Caitlin had brought the game back to within 1, and on the other end, she wasn't letting up defensively either.
Going offensively here in the fourth.
But fatigue was setting in, leaving the door open for the Lynx to capitalize.
Williams launches and hits a 3, big shot.
The Fever tried to respond with a shot of their own, but missed opportunities were piling up. Even when the Fever made a stop, luck wasn't on their side. The frustration was palpable, but Kelsey Mitchell wasn't done yet.
Launches and hits a 3.
An inside out.
That was off of Mitchell.
But just as quickly, the Lynx snatched the momentum right back. Every Fever highlight was being answered with an even bigger play by the Lynx. With time winding down, it was a game of cat and mouse. Caitlin kept finding her open teammates.
From Bridget Carlton, Boston answers.
But the Lynx responded with a barrage.
And another impact play. And
when Caitlin hit a big 3, the Lynx came right back with an easy bucket inside. By the final minutes, the Lynx had stretched their lead to 10 points. The Fever needed a miracle, but without the defensive stops to slow the Lynx, it was too much to overcome. The game slipped away, and despite Caitlin's heroics, the Fever couldn't mount the comeback. Another tough loss to the Lynx, leaving Caitlin and her teammates hungry for revenge.
Benley, handoff Clark, launches and hits a 3. We are level.
Clark posted her franchise record 14th double-double of the season for Indiana, but it was far from a solo show. Her teammates stepped up in crunch time, but Ryan Howard made sure it wasn't easy for the Fever.
Opening 2 possessions, a couple of stops. Howard shakes off Hole and hits a 3.
Ryan Howard.
From the jump, Caitlin was on fire, barely touching the net.
Boston gets it back to Clark, sidesteps Howard. She will launch and knock down a 3.
She came out ready to remind everyone why she stole that 3-point record from Ryan Howard. But it wasn't Howard who answered back. It was Alicia Gray, like she was returning the favor in a game of horse.
Gray will try a 3 and knock it down.
Indiana, though, started off shaky with 4 turnovers in just 3 minutes. And the Dream, they weren't letting those mistakes slide. They punished every single one, turning Indiana's sloppiness into easy points.
Hillman has the size advantage on Hole, plows through her. A defensive foul going on Indiana.
Luckily, Caitlin snapped them out of it. She distracted the defense with her no-look passes and found Hull wide open for a 3.
Inside, Hillman comes and help. Here's Lexi Hull, who does what Lexi Hull has been doing here out of the Olympic break.
Even when Caitlin wasn't scoring, she was dishing out passes like a magician pulling rabbits out of hats. But with Ryan Howard in the building, there was no doubt a quick response was coming.
Early 3-point lead, and Ryan Howard erases it.
And even when Caitlin was putting defenders in a blender,
In a 5-game span. You know who else is on that list?
there was no let-up.
More of a defensive issue, and Canada just going to have to get rid of it and connects.
When Caitlin did manage to break ankles, the refs stepped in to spoil the fun.
Should be matched up quicker than that.
Oh, Clark just spinning off Canada and an offensive foul. I think she might have got her with the elbow and she was spinning.
But thankfully, Kelsey Mitchell came through.
Celebrate her birthday as Mitchell turns the corner, fires up
and also knocking down a 3 like it was nothing.
Mitchell pulling up off balance, knocks it down.
Of course, the Dream didn't give her much time to celebrate.
It is a 2-point shot. Caldwell. Oh, she gets the friendly roll.
Mitchell hit back-to-back 3s, and just when it seemed like Indiana had the momentum, the Dream finished the quarter ahead. It was one of those nights where every Fever bucket was met with a Dream answer. The key for the Fever going into the second was to chill on the fouls. But apparently, someone forgot to pass along that memo.
Hoisted up there, looked like she lost the handle midway up, and Fagbenle got tangled up there.
Thankfully, Fagbenle made it up. She blocked a shot like she was playing against her younger sibling, and then ran the floor for a bucket in transition.
She's going to try her luck on the offensive end. Fagbenle ducks in and finishes.
How about that, back-to-back?
But the Dream came back with another 3, and it felt like they were telling the Fever, anything you can do, we can do better. So Caitlin knew she had to do something they couldn't repeat.
You're probably going to have a team in rotation, and you're probably going to have some mismatches.
Clark, step back 3. She connects.
You always think you're close enough to her on a long closeout.
That got her closer to breaking the all-time rookie points record, and you could feel the crowd buzzing. Still, Caitlin didn't have to do it all herself. Lexi Hull got in on the action.
The handle on her way up, finds its way to Lexi Hull, who knocks down another.
But Indiana hadn't learned from their earlier mistakes, leaving the back door wide open, and Gray strolled right in.
Now Alicia Gray answers with a triple.
Caitlin wasn't about to let that slide, sending a full-court dime to Mitchell like she was playing quarterback.
She gets that much time.
Oh, pass ahead. Smith running the floor. Clark pays her off.
But with the Dream still up 39-35, Indiana needed more, and Hull delivered.
Hull fire away. 3 for 3.
Lexi Hull, shoot till your arm falls off.
After a quick challenge on a foul call, the Fever were ready to take control, but Ryan Howard wasn't having it.
Pass out of that. Put it right in the middle of the rim, and so too does Ryan Howard.
Even when Boston used a little bully ball to tie the score, the Dream came right back with an even better play.
She's got 8 Boston here in the first half, and Gray knocks down a 3.
And just when the Fever thought they were getting some love from the refs, you could feel the ref cheese building up.
Gray won the 3-point shooting contest, and that's over and back right there.
Making it clear this was going to be a long night. By halftime, Indiana had 13 turnovers to the Dream's 1, but somehow they were only down by 2. It was like watching a team juggle flaming torches and somehow keep them all in the air. Canada made sure the Dream held onto their lead.
Chance opportunity to close out the half with Atlanta up by 2, and Canada splashes home a deep 2.
And Caitlin? Let's just say she wasn't too thrilled heading into the locker room. Coming out of halftime, she got her smile back after some fan interaction, but that didn't last long.
Atlanta. Howard looks inside for Charles, blocked by Smith. Charles on a third effort, gets it up, gets it to go. Not how you wanted to start the third if you're Indiana.
And then Lexi Hull got a dancing lesson from Howard.
Atlanta, a couple of buckets out of the opening 2 possessions, a couple of stops. Howard shakes off Hull and hits a 3.
Ryan Howard. Dangerous out of the locker room. Good timeout by Christy Sides.
The Dream went on a scoring spree, with everyone getting involved. It was like they were hosting a basketball clinic, stretching their lead to 63-48. Finally, Kelsey Mitchell broke the streak.
Scoreless since the first quarter. Mitchell on the drive, scoop shot, and gets the roll.
And then she got a steal and went on a solo mission.
Howard is back. It's one-on-one. Mitchell's going to pull a 3. How's that for confidence?
That got Caitlin fired up. She forced a drive and earned herself some free throws, starting a 9-0 run that brought the score to 64-57. But just when it looked like the Fever were back, Ryan Howard decided to break the streak, hitting a clutch shot to stop Indiana's momentum. Still, the Fever had found their rhythm. Caitlin dished it to Boston, who went to work down low.
Makes the pass, spins inside and finishes.
And after some fancy footwork from CC, Boston returned the favor.
Pressure all game.
Clark, a problem for Canada there.
Cutting the Dream's lead to just 3, 69-66. The fourth quarter was a continuation of the fireworks.
Benley, handoff Clark, launches, and hits a 3. We are level.
That moved her up to second in all-time rookie points. The crowd was going wild. She got a little too hyped though, pulling up from the logo in transition. But hey, even the greats miss from time to time. Not to worry. Caitlin showcased her court vision.
Shorts. Clark launching ahead. Mitchell beats the pack back.
Keeping the Fever within striking distance. But Ryan Howard wasn't making it easy.
And here is Howard, transition 3.
She was everywhere, scoring and setting up her teammates like she had eyes on the back of her head.
Underneath, feeds it into Hillman, scoops it up, draws the foul, and an and 1.
What a great cut by Naz Hillman.
But Caitlin's teammates had her back. Mitchell turned up the heat, getting another steal and hitting a transition 3.
With her emotions and still remaining a passion.
Hull came in clutch from deep, and Fagbinley was a force on defense. Boston? She was bullying her way to the rim, getting buckets when the Fever needed the most. Then, with less than a minute left, Caitlin topped it off with a full-court dime to Fagbinley for the game-tying bucket.
For Fagbinley, level again.
Beautiful. This is winning time right now.
It was 88-88 with 44 seconds left, and the crowd was on their feet. Unfortunately, the Dream went to Howard, who drew a foul and knocked down both free throws. Down by 2, Indiana needed a bucket to stay alive. Coach drew up the perfect play. Caitlin dished it to Boston, who faked the handoff and bullied her way to the rim, tying the game and sending it to overtime.
Gets to the rim and ties the game.
It's a wonderful fake. It's an excellent execution.
Overtime kicked off with Caitlin hitting a mid-range jumper to set the tone, but the Dream answered right back. It was a back and forth battle, with both teams trading buckets. Even Fagbinley was hitting jump shots, which made you realize it was truly a special night. But Indiana had something the Dream couldn't match: Boston's post play. She kept forcing buckets inside, and with 24 seconds left, the Dream were forced to foul, putting Caitlin on the line. She calmly sank both free throws, putting the Fever in control. The Dream had one final opportunity.
Canada will hoist, and the Fever overcome a 16-point second-half deficit.
The Fever walked away with the win. Caitlin finished with 26 points and 13 assists, but also racked up 9 turnovers. Boston had a career-high 30 points, outlasting Howard's impressive 36-point performance.
7 to down 7. The Fever had all of the energy early on. Championship medal of Las Vegas on full display, and Clark dropping a three.
In her third matchup against the Las Vegas Aces, the team that has been a thorn in her side all season, Caitlin and the Indiana Fever were looking for that elusive win, but the Aces had other plans. Their mission? Make sure Caitlin Clark couldn't get involved.
Patient working inside the reverse. Owen took a big hit there on Jackie Young, and the foul does come, and for the second time here in the last minute, we have seen a heavy collision.
But from the start, the Fever didn't look like a team that had lost 2 straight. Caitlin, always one step ahead, saw the double team coming and found a wide open Lexi Hull in the corner.
Aces play second fastest, Indiana third fastest, and Lexi Hull, the league's top 3-point shooter, is now over 70% out of the break.
For the first 3 minutes, the Aces couldn't score, until Aja Wilson, the league's leading scorer, reminded everyone why she holds that title.
Here's Aja Wilson knocking down her first look.
On the other end, the Aces had a clear game plan, contain Caitlin with pure physicality. Even though they managed to slow her down, the Aces couldn't find their rhythm offensively, unless it was Wilson putting up points.
Range where she's 2 for 2.
With all the defensive attention on Caitlin, her teammates found opportunities to shine.
Clark lob it up, Kelsey Mitchell wide open, and knocks down a triple.
But Wilson's mid-range was automatic. She sank her third shot in a row like she was playing horse by herself.
During that time from the three-point line.
Wilson all mid-range and all day.
Caitlin, feeling the pressure, knew she had to get on the scoreboard. She drove straight into the double team, muscling her way to the rim.
As Clark got around, Stokes gets to the rim, lays it in, and a foul.
You know Caitlin Clark is going to go right.
On defense, though, Caitlin wasn't as sharp. Her defender slipped right past her, but luckily, Nalissa Smith came through to save the day.
A fun matchup as Hayes gets underneath. Recovery there from Smith.
Instantly, Caitlin was on the move, pushing the ball in transition and sending a perfect bounce pass to Kelsey Mitchell for the easy bucket.
He's away with it. Clark turning on the Jets. Backdoor pass. Mitchell can't finish with the reverse.
It was a textbook fast break, and the momentum seemed to be shifting in the Fever's favor. But then Lexi Hull got a little too fired up. She tried to copy Smith's defensive heroics, but instead racked up 2 quick fouls.
Hayes on the aggressive drive, runs into Hull, and draws the foul.
The Aces quickly adjusted, shifting to their perimeter game, and just when it looked like the Fever had it figured out, Wheeler hit a clutch 3 to answer.
That high up on the college scoring charts as Wheeler buries a 3.
The game was starting to feel like a game of cat and mouse. One team hitting a shot, only for the other to come right back. When Caitlin tried to join this flow with a big play ending the quarter, she got hit with a freight train of a defender. The Aces weren't letting her breathe, but in the second quarter, Caitlin finally got the chance to finish what she started.
Championship medal of Las Vegas on full display, and Clark dropping a 3.
However, it got spoiled soon after. She went up strong again, only to be met with an Oscar-worthy flop from the defender.
Open up a lane to the rim.
So Clark pushed off on the drive.
The frustration was mounting, especially with the Aces getting away with a few no calls of their own, taking advantage to pull away.
Wilson into a double team, out to Alicia Clark.
With Lexi Hull continuing her foul streak, the Fever were in trouble. It became clear that they weren't going to win this game by matching physicality. The Aces were winning the foul game and using it to their advantage.
Right up the gut and draws the foul. Mitchell 1-on-2, but does not care.
Even a glimmer of hope with the Clark-Boston connection.
Played very sparingly out of the Olympic breaks. Boston the hesitation and bounces it home.
Was quickly snuffed out by yet another Aja Wilson dagger.
Meaning she's not trying to let her get it back. Oh, they're calling jump ball on that.
And then, in came a new face off the bench for Indiana. An odd one out, rarely seen on the court.
I don't know if Leah's going to get one or not. I'm sure she is.
Here's Wallace.
With so few minutes to prove herself, it wasn't the night for Wheeler to make an impact.
Hesitation, just trying to bully her way inside, and she stepped out of bounds. No, they call it for traveling.
Meanwhile, the other Clark, Alicia Clark, was making waves for the Aces.
She does. Kick out Clark, who hits her second three. Driving into Clark. There's Alicia Clark, 3 for 3.
Alicia Clark.
Stepping up on both ends of the floor, they were menaces on defense, while keeping the offense consistent, sinking shot after shot with ease. The Fever desperately needed a spark, and 22 delivered.
2 free throws. Clark essentially trying to run the clock down. Clark banks it up, banks it in.
Finishing the half with a brief moment of hope, but they still had a mountain to climb to turn this game around. Kelsey Mitchell took the reins to start the third quarter.
Clark, backdoor pass, Mitchell lays it in, and a foul.
Fighting her way through the Aces' scrappy defense. But the Aces were getting away with more than a few questionable plays. Some clean, some that wouldn't fly in your neighborhood pickup game. The Fever, meanwhile, were getting whistled for every little touch.
Gray being guarded by Clark, and a foul is called. Gray got a step. Clark thought she had all ball,
But even with the odds stacked against them, they clawed their way back from an 11-point deficit to make it 49-45. Thanks to Nalissa Smith's gritty play. Just when the Fever had momentum, the Aces delivered a reality check, sending Smith crashing to the floor with a block that looked more like a wrestling move than a basketball play.
It's over. Chelsea Gray, blocking foul is the call. That was a heavy collision.
But karma struck back as Caitlin forced a tough bucket with an and one, bringing the Fever within reach again.
On Plum here. Clark leans in, draws the foul, and knocks it down.
That's what I'm saying, Erica Wheeler.
Just when you thought it reached its peak, it didn't stop there. Caitlin gets to the bucket to try a tough reverse layup, and when she lands, the defenders decided to pull a UFC-style elbow straight to the face, sending her to the ground.
Owen took a big hit there on Jackie Young, and the foul does come, and for the second time here in the last minute, we have seen a heavy collision.
So obvious, but they even had the nerve to challenge the call. This game had officially turned into more of a street fight than basketball. With all the physical play, the Aces kept hitting their shots.
Wilson's got to get a little more aggressive.
The Fever, they needed someone to step up, and Lexi Hull fought back, getting to the line and making key stops on defense.
He's driving into Hull, who sticks right with her. Very well defended there by Lexi Hull. Clark looking ahead. It is Hull, but knocked away by Alicia Clark.
But Aja Wilson was still cooking, knocking down mid-range shots with ease, like she was shooting in her own backyard.
And one.
The game became a back-and-forth affair, but when the refs tipped the scales, it started to slip out of the Fever's hands.
It's been choppy as Smith comes in and helps, but Gray underneath gets it to go and a foul.
I think that's offense-initiated contact right there.
A clear offensive foul by the Aces was challenged and somehow upheld, leaving Caitlin and the Fever visibly frustrated. And with 22 losing focus, it felt like the game was falling apart.
Fouls now. That was her fifth, and Colson comes away.
But right at the buzzer to end the third, Nalissa Smith delivered.
Flips it up, shot is short. Mitchell with three. Mitchell gets to the rim. Too strong. There's Smith to beat the buzzer.
Giving the Fever a tiny spark of hope. The fourth quarter started with exactly what the Fever didn't need.
Mitchell back to Clark, offensive foul.
Another foul call. Luckily, Kelsey Mitchell came to the rescue with a huge three.
Catch and shoot, hits a three.
But the Aces answered right back.
20 is Mitchell. It's her third three and an answer.
Caitlin tried to respond, but Alicia Clark was there to shut it down, keeping the pressure on. It wasn't Caitlin's best night, 1 for 10 from deep. So she shifted her game, attacking the rim with force. But once again, the fouls piled up, and the Aces kept getting away with similar plays that were called against the Fever.
Clark putting on the moves, drives by Gray, flips it up. It's an offensive foul. Different plays, but if you're going to call the one not jumping into the defender, it seemed like that was kind of a similar type of action.
The Fever were fighting an unbeatable battle, and with Aja Wilson dominating from mid-range, scoring 27 points without even attempting a three, the game slowly slipped away. The Fever ended the game with 19 fouls, and the timing of those calls blew their chances. Caitlin struggled to get involved, and credit to the Aces. They executed their game plan flawlessly, going 3 for 3 against the Fever this season.
Out last a little bit.
Clark, step back, hits a three!
Caitlin Clark has done it again. This time, she's etched her name in the history books by setting the single-season record for assists, tallying 321 dimes, and surpassing the previous record held by Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun. But of course, against the Aces, she had to put her headgear on.
And Clark knocked off the ball there by Young, and she's called for her 4th foul.
From the jump, the Las Vegas Aces had a clear plan for Caitlin Clark, double team her from the get-go. But with her record-breaking court vision, she was ready for it.
Clark seeing 2 players her direction, feeds Boston. Indiana has the advantage, and Boston gets the friendly roll.
The Boston connection was activated early, like a cheat code on a video game, something they've been using to dominate all season long.
Clark shot fakes the 3, feeds inside to Boston for 2.
With the Aces focusing their entire defense on CC to keep her from scoring, it was only a matter of time before she broke the assist record.
The MVP and Asia Wilson. Here's Clark handed off to Smith, who hangs and draws the foul.
On the other end, the Fever started strong, pushing the pace like they were trying to outrun everyone in a track meet.
Sorts of defenders in the way for Indiana as Clark bounces ahead and Mitchell beats the pack back.
What a beautiful defensive possession right there.
And even with the Aces defense swarming, 22 still managed to muscle her way for some buckets.
Clark gets inside and can't get the roll, but she will head to the free throw line. Clark with 3 assists.
But when she tried to dish out the same defensive pressure, the refs were quick to blow the whistle on her.
To punch off the bench.
Caitlin, frustrated, took it out on the padding and got hit with a tech for good measure.
Be allowed to be frustrated, and as long as it's not an overt action at any player or official.
Not with these refs. However, that frustration didn't slow her down though. She turned that anger into something productive.
Clark.
But the Aces sent the layup flying, like blocking a shot from your little cousin in the driveway. With Caitlin getting some anger management on the bench, the Aces took advantage and got busy. But Alyssa Smith wasn't going to let them run away with it. She went into bully mode, like she was pushing through a crowd at Black Friday.
On this Aces roster, as Smith just muscles her way inside, to not have...
The Aces, though, they started pulling out the dirty tricks, landing a sneaky elbow on Boston that sent her to the bench for some medical attention. But you could see it in Caitlin's eyes when she came back into the game in the second quarter. This game was far from over, and with the Boston replacement on the floor, they came out swinging.
Dantas launches and hits a 3.
But just as the Fever looked like they were heating up, the Aces responded from deep, like they were making it rain in a shooting drill. Caitlin had her hands full. Every time she tried to make a play, the defenders were sticking to her like gum on a hot sidewalk. But she still managed to get by.
Independent, which is exactly where the Aces want to be.
A 10-2 response by the Aces.
The Aces pushed their lead to 30-22. But just when things started to look bleak, Kelsey Mitchell stepped up and sank back-to-back threes, like she was playing with a flamethrower.
Outside of Mitchell, but she's open and splashes home 3 more.
Even with the Aces matching threes shot for shot, Kelsey took over, stepping up like a silent assassin, while Caitlin drew all the attention. But no game is complete without a little drama, right? Caitlin got herself open for a 3, jumped forward into contact, but the refs called it foul baiting.
There. And they're going to call that, I think, an offensive foul.
Like she tried to pull a fast one in front of the teacher. It seemed like every time she made a move, the sticky defense was there, and she was the one getting punished. Even when Boston returned to the floor after that earlier elbow, the Aces had it out for her. They pulled off some more MMA moves, testing the limits of basketball rules.
Dirty, I think it's just with a lot of passion. That's how they get fired up. It's all about the fight.
But the refs sided with the more experienced team, leaving the Fever to end the half on a sour note. And during halftime, Kelsey Plum's interview said it all.
All right, Kelsey, let's start with defense. You held the Fever to just 13 first quarter points. What did you like about the way your team came out on that side of the ball?
I don't know. Come back to me later.
In the third quarter, the Fever needed answers, and fast.
Man, she won a great job by Boston, but here
They came out with a burst of energy, but the Aces weren't letting up.
that comes back as well.
Now we'll see if that's what Clark needed to get going. Oh, Chelsea Gray, showtime, and Young with the and one.
But it wasn't just on offense.
The screen, the bounce from Clark. Plum nearly picked her pocket and just got a bit of Mitchell.
But Caitlin rose to the occasion, hitting big shots from deep.
Clark, Boston screen, fire away, hits a three.
Even when the Aces fired back with their own threes, Caitlin was there, putting the team on her back, fighting for every bucket.
Both have the ability to score, and here's yet another big shot.
She wasn't getting any love from the refs, but that didn't stop her from forcing a steal and racing down the court like she was in a foot race against time. With the Fever still trailing by 8 points at 56-48, Caitlin knew she had to take things up a notch.
Clark off the screen, drives inside, and the big shot is good.
And then some.
Out the last a little bit.
Clark, step back, hits a three.
And in classic Clark fashion, she single-handedly dragged the Fever back into the game, closing the gap to 60-57 and leaving the Aces speechless. The Fever still had a full quarter to pull off the upset, and Caitlin wasn't done. And luckily for her, she got some help.
Wheeler back outside, Dantas launches and hits a three.
But the Aces had other plans, pulling out their dirty tricks once again.
Plum called for the foul as Clark started to drop.
Trying to mess with Caitlin's focus while they found their groove on the court. Maybe it was jealousy, trying to chase what they couldn't catch. They found every way to steal the spotlight, but when their basketball skills weren't enough, they went back to what worked. Physicality. Luckily, the fouls were piling up so high, she got in the bonus and to the line.
And Clark knocked off the ball there by Young, and she's called for her fourth foul.
Where her 90% shooting were basically free points. And with Boston connecting on open looks, Caitlin didn't have to do it all. But of course, the refs had to give the Aces a little nudge, falling for their foul baits and keeping them just ahead. With 72-68 on the board and 2 minutes to go, Caitlin took over again.
Working on Young, one of the best defenders. Clark gets by her and gets to the rim.
Cutting the lead to just 2 points. The next possession, you knew who would have the ball in her hands. But she got a little too excited, pushing too hard and missing a key shot.
The switch on to Wilson. Clark will launch.
On the other end, the Fever defense forgot about the corner. The one place you don't want to leave open. The Aces punished them, extending the lead. Even after a quick bucket, the clock wasn't on the Fever's side. They were forced to play the foul free throw game, giving themselves one last chance. With 23 seconds on the clock, down by 3, they called a timeout. But somehow, the final play drawn up ended with someone who doesn't even shoot threes.
Driving on Clark. Mitchell, Boston for the tie. Oh, it rims out. She got a great look.
The game ended with a gut-wrenching loss, despite Caitlin's record-breaking night. The Fever might have fallen to their rivals, but Caitlin made sure her name stayed at the top of the headlines.
Into a ball screen.
Clark. Yes! A new career high for Caitlin Clark. And she's put the Fever up by 8.
In her penultimate regular season game, Caitlin ended her show, nailing a career-high 35 points and breaking the rookie single-season scoring record held by Simone Augustus since 2006. But against a team like the Dallas Wings, who were on a 7-game losing streak and already known for their bad history, this wasn't going to be a walk in the park.
Pace, nobody for Dallas gets back, and then a very late contest by Brown. And a hard foul there on Caitlin Clark.
And from the jump, the Wings continued that trend, guarding Caitlin tight from the inbound, like they were glued to her. But it didn't take long for Caitlin to leave the defender in a whirlwind.
Clark, JC a Buckeye, Caitlin a Hawkeye, 2 of the best players in the Big Ten last year.
Already showing exactly what to expect from this game. But as you might have seen in the last game against Dallas, 22 wasn't the only one bringing the heat. Across from her was Arike Ogunbowale. Ogunbowale. You know what? Let's just keep it with Arike.
With that 3-point shot here the last couple of games. Wale knocks down her first shot.
And this time, Arike had a partner in threes.
In the feistiness of Lexi Hall since the Olympic break.
McCowan easily wins the tip, and Sabali knocks down a...
Putting the pressure on Caitlin, but her threes were still loading up. So, in true playmaker fashion, she got her teammates involved.
They average 11 offensive rebounds a game, one of the best in the league.
Clark frees up Boston for 2 more.
But Arike started this game on a warpath, shooting at will and giving the Fever no break.
The Fever averaging right around 17,000 people in this building per game.
Luckily for the Fever, the basketball gods were on their side, giving Kelsey Mitchell a second chance.
Boston able to save the offensive rebound. Mitchell on a crossover. She will lunch and bury a 3.
And Mitchell is Caitlin's best hype man, getting her to ride the wave of threes.
Clark on a step back, buries a 3.
But threes seemed like the name of the night, as Sabali answered right back, keeping the score tight. The first quarter had Caitlin heated, already feeling like the refs were letting Dallas get away with too much contact. But instead of letting the frustration derail her, Caitlin channeled that anger into her hot hand.
Part of the challenge that Dallas has had all year. Clark catch and shoot, and knocks down her second 3.
Very well executed for Caitlin Clark.
But Caitlin's foresight turned out to be true, as the Wings escalated their physical play, pulling a move straight out of the Patrick Beverley playbook with a dive to the knees. Luckily, it didn't turn into a season-ending Westbrook-type injury, and Caitlin bounced back. On the very next play, the Wings tried to go in hard again, but this time, the refs were finally on her side.
From the logo, she is fouled.
Of course, she sank all, and from that moment on, it was like she had entered war mode.
Front courts. Clark circling her way through, finds an opening and banks it home.
But even with all her dominance, she still got the rookie treatment from the refs. Instead of letting it get to her, Caitlin turned on the heat on the other end.
Clark with 11 points, a deflection there.
And finally, she gave the crowd one of those deep threes they had bought their tickets for.
Clark, fire away. You bet.
Come on.
Still halfway through the second quarter, it was a neck-and-neck race for both teams, with neither side backing down. But 22 was on a whole different level, playing a game of her own. While everyone else was battling for control, she was just 4 points away from breaking the scoring record. But she seemed unbothered, not chasing the record, just focused on playing the right way.
Around the rim, McCowan does, from 2-point range.
Mitchell sidesteps Wale and buries a 3.
I mean, so good.
Looking like she was just flexing on everybody, Caitlin shifted gears and went on an absolute dime rampage.
There, banks it home. Clark pushing. Mitchell backdoor lays it in.
But the Wings responded with 2 types of players. The ones who played the basketball way and the ones who played the dirty way.
Worst defensive teams in the league. 2 of the better offensive teams.
Clark at Howard. Ooh, left that one too strong, and she took quite a tumble on the way down. And a loose.
The first half was an emotional roller coaster, with swings that felt like watching a crypto chart, highs and lows at every turn. But one thing was certain through all the chaos: that rookie scoring record was about to have Caitlin's name on it.
Clark shaking off Sheldon, hits a deep 2.
Drop coverage. Tight on.
But with that now in her pocket, Caitlin knew she couldn't disappoint the crowd by letting the game slip away. So she did what stars do. She turned up the heat.
Mid-range jumper.
But Clark right back to Boston, who got inside position on McCowan.
But she wasn't the only one breaking records tonight.
It's all 9.
Wale hits a 3.
Way too quiet for Arike, right?
Even with this historic night, Arike wasn't the stat leader for the Wings.
And here's Satu Sabali dialing up a 3. It's her 4th.
And that's the other piece.
It was a close game, neck and neck, until the refs started tilting the scales. Every time Caitlin drove to the rim, she was met with contact but couldn't get free throws. Meanwhile, the Wings were starting to pull away.
Uzun, corner 3, knocks it down.
It felt like the game was slowly slipping, but even when the refs handed her just inbounds, Caitlin got the best out of the situation.
Mitchell driving by Sabali. Mitchell right to the cup.
So quick. I
And just when it looked like things couldn't get any worse for the Fever, 22 decided to extend her record.
Zune trying to frustrate Clark. Oh, but Clark with 3 more. Right over the rookie.
But with Caitlin's success comes a target on her back. Maybe it's jealousy, or maybe some people just don't want to see her do well. Either way, the fouls she's been enduring, hard, borderline dirty plays, shouldn't be allowed.
Clark still able to beat everybody back to the rim, and they're going to look at this.
They got to look at this one.
Are going to swipe, and you miss.
Well, she got a piece of the ball, but she got a bigger piece of Caitlin Clark.
Even with all the headaches and bruises, Caitlin got right back up, staying composed and doing what she does best, setting up her teammates. She found Lexi Hull wide open for a perfect shot, but unfortunately, Hull missed her 3rd wide open layup of the month. At this point, you could almost make a highlight reel of these missed opportunities. So Caitlin decided to take matters into her own hands, tired of the missed calls and still getting no love from the refs. She wasn't fazed, almost looking like she went ultra instinct and said, "I'll just get the points myself."
With a shot clock down to 10. Clark shaking Howard. Clark gets to the rim.
Hips and shoulders past the defender.
And she did, not once.
Free her up. Clark off the screen. Clark launches, hits a 3.
But twice.
Into a ball screen.
Clark, yes! A new career high for Caitlin Clark. And she's put the Fever up by 8.
And guess what? The Wings player, who should have been ejected long ago, pulled another cheap shot. It's like the refs never learn. The player who's filling up the stadium is the one getting pushed around with no protection. Luckily, Caitlin came out unharmed, but you could understand why the frustration of an 8-game losing streak had the Wings on edge. Still, this was never the answer. Arike was the only one who seemed to understand that the real way to win was by simply playing basketball. When things got rough, she kept her focus and let her game do the talking. And in this 4th quarter, Arike took over.
10th with run and a little clock. Clark back for Dantas, had it deflected. Agumbawale with a steal. She's off to the races. Here comes Lexi Hull, and it's a foul and an and 1.
And just when the Wings thought they had the Fever figured out, a new clutch shooter joined the party, Damiris Dantas.
Sheldon hits the deck, no whistle either way. Dantas corner 3, knocks it down.
They're looking to trap.
And Jason Clark, who goes behind the back. Clark into the corner, whole extra pass. Here is Dantas, buries a 3. They're all falling here from Indy.
And just like that, the Fever overcame another hard-fought battle, with Caitlin shining in the spotlight. By her side was her trusted right hand, Kelsey Mitchell, and in the final moments, Dantas stepped up to help seal the victory. It was a total team effort, and even though the Wings threw everything at them, the Fever's resilience shone through. Major props to Arike, though. Even at the end, she didn't give up.
Sabali with Hull draped all over, couldn't get a shot up, and that's going to end it as Agumbawale.
If you're enjoying these videos, let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss out on the next one. Stay tuned.